Welcome to the Downsized News. Today we're covering big changes with GLP-1s, from Eli Lilly's price hike in the UK to Novo's new $499 Ozempic program, new safety data on vision risks, a possible follow-up drug to help keep weight off, and even how GLP-1s are reshaping travel and shopping.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Downsized News. It's Monday, August 18th, 2025, and we're glad you're here. Today we're diving into the latest on GLP-1s. I'm Laraine Durham and I've lost over 50 pounds with the GLP-1 Tirzepatide. This journey has changed my life and I'm here to help you feel informed, empowered, and supported every step of the way. So if you're ready for the latest news and updates with a little splash of motivation, stick around for updates you may not see anywhere else.
And my name is Christopher Durham. I've lost 100 pounds on this adventure using GLP-1s. We're talking real experience, not theory. We're here to give you the real story about the medications that changed our lives, the system making it harder than it needs to be to get access to these medications, and the science that's pushing forward with new medications in development.
If you're new to our channel, welcome. If you've been with us for a while, welcome back. We always like to mention that we are not doctors, but we have lost weight with the help of GLP-1 medications. We publish videos on GLP-1 topics every day, so go ahead and hit that like button and that subscribe button now so that you don't miss out on any episodes.
From Mounjaro and Zepbound to Wegovy and Ozempic, Semaglutide to Tirzepatide, and new GLP-1s in development, we're covering it all. New research, policy updates, new meds in the pipeline. Let's get into what matters for those of us using GLP-1s to treat the disease of obesity. Before we get into today's news, I want to be clear, we are not a political channel. We talk about policies, regulations, and business decisions only because they affect access, affordability, and care for patients using GLP-1s. We support any policy that makes these medications more affordable and more accessible, no matter which side of the aisle it comes from. Please keep the comments polite and respectful. Any rude or impolite comments or anything that calls someone a name, whether it's Laraine and me, a politician, or another viewer, will be deleted. Let's focus on the issues, not the people. Our goal is to fight the disease of obesity, not each other. Story number one, of course it's political since you get all of that. Eli Lilly shocked patients in the UK last week when it announced a massive price hike for its GLP-1 medication Mounjaro. Starting in September, the highest dose will jump from about 122 pounds, or around $155 a month, to 330 pounds, or about $420. That's a 170% increase. For now, patients getting Mounjaro through the United Kingdom's National Health Service, or the NHS, won't feel the impact. But millions paying privately will be left with sticker shock, and many are already looking to alternatives, like Novo Nordisk's Ozempic. This wasn't a slip, it was deliberate, and Lilly admits it. In their own words, this rebalancing may be difficult, but it means the prices for medicines paid by governments and health systems need to increase in other developed markets like Europe in order to make them lower in the United States. But here's the context. Lilly just reported its second quarter results. In 3 months, they brought in more than $15.5 billion in revenue and nearly $5.7 billion in profit. Let's put that in perspective. In a single quarter, Lilly made more profit than the entire annual obesity drug budget of some national health systems. So when Lilly says UK patients need to pay more, it's not because they're struggling. They are making record profits every quarter, and they can absolutely afford to lower prices instead of raise them. And remember, Mounjaro and Zepbound are the same medication. Tirzepatide sold under different brand names in the US. Zepbound is approved for obesity and Mounjaro for type 2 diabetes. But in the UK, there's only one brand, Mounjaro, used for both conditions, which means this single price hike affects everyone regardless of whether they're treating diabetes or obesity. The push behind this move came from President Trump, who revived the most favored nation pricing plan. The idea was to tie U.S. drug costs to what other wealthy nations are paying. He accused countries like the UK, France, and Canada of freeloading on the backs of Americans, who already pay the highest drug prices in the world. In May, the administration signed an executive order demanding pharmaceutical companies harmonize pricing across markets. By July, letters went out to 17 drug makers, including Lilly, warning them to make changes within 60 days. Here's the problem. There is no regulatory way to actually force drug makers to raise prices overseas or to lower them here at home. The policy relies entirely on voluntary cooperation, and Big Pharma gets to decide what cooperation looks like. Lilly's response: raise prices abroad so the benchmark the US uses is suddenly much higher. And they're doing it proudly. The company said in a statement, "We have intensified efforts to align prices across developed countries, especially in Europe. This includes an agreement with the UK government to increase the list price of Mounjaro while maintaining access for NHS patients." Now, yes, NHS patients are shielded for now, but nearly 90% of weight loss drug users in the UK pay privately. They're the ones who see their bills double or triple overnight, and they're the first casualties of this alignment. Lilly wants you to believe they're the hero here. They point to Lilly Direct in the US, claiming it provides more affordable access, and to insulin cuts where they dropped list prices by 70% and capped monthly costs at $35. But let's not forget, that insulin cap only came after years of lawsuits, congressional hearings, and relentless public pressure. They also blame complexity in the US system, PBMs, insurers, and yes, the system is broken. But who sets the starting price? It's Lilly. Every rebate, every distributor cut, every pharmacy margin begins with the list price they choose. So what's really going on here? Well, this is the administration's policy working exactly as designed. The most favored nation plan was never meant to slash prices outright. It was always a trade-off. Other countries would pay more, and the US would benchmark against those higher prices, and at least in theory, pay less. It's JoJo coming to weigh in on most favored nations. What we're seeing now is Big Pharma using that permission to protect their profits. Lilly is telling investors their margins are safe, and patients in the UK are footing the bill, even as the company makes billions in quarterly profit. The fallout is already visible. Online clinics are steering patients toward Wegovy. Sales of Wegovy and Ozempic in the UK surged 500% to 600% immediately after Lilly's announcement. And some experts warn patients may turn to the black market for cheaper drugs, a dangerous step we've already seen here in the US. Meanwhile, the question here in America is whether prices will actually come down. The truth is, the odds are slim. The administration's order does not have enforcement power. It's voluntary. And what we've seen so far looks more like global price inflation than US price relief. Here's what hasn't changed in the US. Patients still face expiring savings cards, denied prior authorizations, insurance exclusions, and out-of-pocket costs of tens of thousands of dollars per year. For patients treating the chronic disease of obesity with GLP-1s, this isn't about quarterly earnings calls. It's about whether they can get the medication they need to stay healthy. And let me say this clearly. At the Downsized, Laraine and I, our fight is for better affordability and accessibility for every patient who medically needs these drugs. We do not cheer when anyone's prices are raised. Thousands of patients in the UK will now suffer because of this shift. The goal must be affordability and accessibility for all patients, not relief for some at the expense of others. We have repeatedly called for Lilly and Novo to step up and be the hero in this story by increasing access and affordability for the patients who need these medications most. But this move is far from heroic. It edges dangerously close to making Big Pharma the villain. So will Zepbound prices in the US come down as a result of all this? The honest answer is somewhere between no and maybe a little bit. Lilly believes it has already lowered prices enough with Lilly Direct. The odds of prices dropping by hundreds of dollars a month, the kind of cut patients need, seem very slim as a result of these policies. Until patients in North Carolina or in London see their out-of-pocket costs go down, this is still a story about Big Pharma protecting profits, not people.
I can't believe they raised the price in the UK when facing pressure from our government. I mean, they could have just lowered the prices in the US, but no, they're going to affect a whole nother nation of people. It's just,
And I've been saying this was possible
Ridiculous.
ever since we started reporting on
I mean, I
it.
guess it can always raise prices, but I mean, and I guess the NHS in London, they're going to be paying that extra.
Well, it
those
remains to be
extra
seen what they
costs.
pay. I mean, they negotiate as a
Just-
country, so the NHS prices will be different, and we don't negotiate that way. So
Right, but I mean, for the UK, it's causing their healthcare to prices. The
All of
NHS is
this-
absorbing that price increase.
all of this the same time that they made $5 billion in profit in the last quarter.
$5 billion with a B dollars in profit just for the quarter. They're potentially going to make $20 billion. Like, I can't even, to raise the price that much in the UK, what's that going to put in their pocket? A few extra $1,000 on top of their $5 billion?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Right.
Why, Eli Lilly? Why did you do that? That's just mean and uncalled for. It is. It's just hurting people who are self-pay. And I'm sorry, but $4.99 for Lilly Direct Valves in the US is not a bargain. It is very expensive, and I know very few people who can afford to pay $4.99 a month for anything, let alone, you know, a desperately needed medication.
So we'll keep reporting on this. This is a constantly evolving story. There's a lot of pieces moving around. I do think it's possible that prices come down. I don't know that these government policies are going to impact it that much, but between new drugs, between a new Novo Nordisk CEO, there's a lot of things that are moving around in the pricing picture here. And hopefully in the next 6 months to a year, we'll see some movement. What will happen as a result of this? I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. In story number 2, Novo Nordisk made headlines this morning with a new price program for Ozempic. For the first time, patients paying cash for this GLP-1 will be able to get it for a flat $499 a month. Now let's be clear who this is for. It's only available to adults with type 2 diabetes who have a prescription for Ozempic, and it's targeted at those who don't have insurance coverage or choose to self-pay. The offer covers all 3 pen strengths, the 0.5, the 1, and the 2 milligrams, and can be accessed in a few different ways. For the first time ever, Novo is offering Ozempic through their own NovoCare pharmacy with home delivery. It's also available through Ozempic.com, NovoCare.com, and thanks to a new partnership through GoodRx at more than 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Here's how Novo framed it. Dave Moore, the company's executive vice president for U.S. operations, said the goal is to improve access to authentic, FDA-approved medicine. He added that even if a single patient feels the need to turn to unapproved knockoffs, that's one too many. Ozempic is the GLP-1 with the broadest set of FDA-approved indications for adults with type 2 diabetes, from lowering blood sugar to reducing major cardiovascular risks like heart attack and stroke to slowing down kidney disease. Millions have already taken it in the U.S., but there are still plenty of people struggling with cost and coverage. So is this good news? Yes, for some. Patients who were stuck paying retail, which can be over $1,000 a month, may now be able to get the real thing at $499 a month. But there are limits. This program doesn't cover people using Ozempic off-label for obesity, and it doesn't bring Wegovy pricing down beyond GoodRx's $499 a month option. For patients paying out of pocket for weight management, the cost remains a huge hurdle. The bottom line is this. Novo is trying to undercut the compounded semaglutide market while showing they're making access a priority. For patients with type 2 diabetes and no coverage, this is a win. But for the broader affordability crisis around GLP-1s, the gap remains wide.
Well, so I think this is honestly another piece of the most favored nation conversation. I think this is Novo going, look, we lowered the price. Well, the reality was that's basically the program that Wegovy already had.
Yes.
They just hadn't included Ozempic and type 2 diabetes.
So for those of you that are maybe just learning about these medications, Ozempic and Wegovy are the same medication. Ozempic is for type 2 diabetes and Wegovy is for weight loss or for obesity. They both contain the same active ingredient, semaglutide. They had dropped the price of Wegovy to $4.99, and now dropping Ozempic's self-pay program to $4.99. Still very expensive.
And still a lot more expensive than most compounded.
Oh, for sure.
Like several $100s.
You can get compounded semaglutide for $99 a month at many telehealth companies. That's no secret. So, anyway.
So I would have liked to have seen Novo come out with a much stronger price. We hope to see them down to $199 for both Ozempic and Wegovy in the next 6 months. Now, honestly, next 90 days.
Big Pharma, please lower your prices.
You can look like the good guy this time, Novo, because Lilly's really trying hard to look like the bad guy.
Lilly looks like such a bad guy in the UK right now. Why? I'm still stuck on that. All right, story number 3.
A new study published August 11th in JAMA Network Open titled Semaglutide or Tirzepatide and Optic Nerve and Visual Pathway Disorders in Type 2 Diabetes is highlighting a possible link between GLP-1 medications and rare vision problems. Researchers led by Lindsay Wang, Nora Volkow, and David Kabler examined electronic health records from more than 1.5 million patients with type 2 diabetes between 2017 and 2023. After matching groups, they compared about 159,000 patients, half prescribed semaglutide or tirzepatide and half prescribed other diabetes drugs. During a 2-year follow-up, the study found 35 patients, or 0.04% on semaglutide or tirzepatide, developed non-arteritic anterior ischemic optic neuropathy, or NION, compared with 19 patients, or 0.02% in the comparison group. That's a 76% higher risk. Now, that risk sounds really high, but those numbers are tiny.
35 patients out of how many?
Oh, out of 159,000.
35 developed this problem with their
So the numbers are very, very small. 93 patients, or 0.12%, developed other optic nerve disorders compared with 54, or 0.07% in the comparison group, a 65% higher risk. No association was found with other conditions affecting the visual pathway. The authors write semaglutide or tirzepatide was associated with an increased risk of NION and other optic nerve disorders, but the overall risk is low. They emphasize these findings highlight the need for close monitoring of these conditions. At the same time, the study emphasizes that GLP-1s remain important therapeutic options. The authors note the benefits of semaglutide and tirzepatide in reducing cardiovascular, kidney, and metabolic complications should be weighed against the low absolute risk of optic nerve disorders. NION itself is very rare, occurring in 2.5 to 11.8 cases per 100,000 people each year. But people with diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and sleep apnea are already at a higher risk. The results suggest monitoring, not alarm. So we've talked about this story, probably, 7 or 8 times over the last couple of years.
Yeah, there is a very small risk. So if you're having any kind of eye or vision problems on these medications, see your doctor immediately.
Yeah.
But the risk is very small. 35 people out of 100,000 people.
0.04% or something.
Very small, but it is there. In story number 4, one of the biggest fears I have is that if I'm forced to stop taking a GLP-1 medication, then will my weight come back? For many, that fear becomes a reality. But now a new drug in development might help change that story. A phase 2 trial of an experimental therapy called RDX-002 shows it may actually help patients keep the weight off and improve their heart health even after discontinuing semaglutide or tirzepatide. On August 14th, 2025, JAMA Network Open published results from this phase 2 clinical trial. The therapy, developed by Response Pharmaceuticals, was tested in 68 adults between the ages of 18 and 65 who had recently stopped a GLP-1 medication after losing at least 10% of their body weight, or 10 kilograms, which equals 22 pounds. All participants had an HbA1c under 6.5% at screening, and those with diabetes, uncontrolled hypertension, or recent cardiovascular events were excluded. Patients were randomly assigned to receive either RDX-002, 200 milligrams twice daily, or placebo for 12 weeks. The results were striking. By 64 milligrams, That's a net difference of almost 300 milligrams between groups. Weight regain also told a clear story. Those on the RDX002 gained back significantly less weight compared to placebo. Fewer patients in the treatment group crossed the threshold of a 5% weight increase from baseline, a key secondary outcome. LDL cholesterol also dropped in the RDX002 group, while placebo patients saw little to no change. Safety was another important factor. Most adverse events were mild to moderate gastrointestinal issues like nausea or diarrhea, and they resolved early in treatment. No serious drug-related safety concerns were reported. As University of Glasgow professor Chris Packard explained in the release, GLP-1 receptor agonist therapies have revolutionized obesity treatment. But they are not the end of the story. Many people regain weight and experience the return of an adverse cardiometabolic profile after stopping GLP-1 RA therapy, a novel treatment that can sustain and build upon the gains achieved with GLP-1 receptor agonists presents a potentially important advance in long-term obesity care. RDX002 is still in the early stages, but these numbers are promising. Full data will be presented at an upcoming scientific meeting. Response Pharmaceuticals also plans to study whether RDX002 could help with other forms of weight gain, such as weight induced by antipsychotic medications, and whether it could be paired with GLP-1s to enhance outcomes. CEO Eric Keller said, "By targeting key pathways involved in metabolic regulation, we aim to provide a durable, well-tolerated solution that supports long-term weight management and cardiometabolic health." If larger studies confirm these results, RDX002 could represent the first real add-on or follow-up option for patients facing the all-too-common problem of rebound weight gain after stopping GLP-1 therapy.
Another player in that sort of combination therapy for maintenance.
I kept wanting to say R2D2 instead of RDX002. Gen Xers weigh in. If people wanted to come off their GLP-1 medication and could have this medication, the RDX002, to help them from stopping gain the weight back, hallelujah, that'd be great, right?
Sure.
And it might work for other things too.
Story number 5, big news from the FDA. Wegovy from Novo Nordisk has just been approved for a brand new use. It's now the first and only GLP-1 approved to treat adults with MASH. That's metabolic dysfunction-associated steatohepatitis, with moderate to advanced liver scarring but not cirrhosis. This is a huge milestone. Until now, there were no FDA-approved drug treatments for MASH at this stage of liver disease. The approval comes from results in the Essence trial. Let me give you the numbers. At week 72, 63% of people on Wegovy said their steatohepatitis resolved with no worsening of fibrosis. Compare that to just 34% on placebo. That's almost double. On the second measure, 37% of Wegovy patients had improvement in liver fibrosis with no worsening of steatohepatitis. Placebo was only 22%. And here's the big one. About 1 in 3 patients on Wegovy achieved both goals: resolution of steatohepatitis and improvement in fibrosis. Placebo was just 16%. So what does this mean for patients? Well, MASH is more common than most people think. Roughly 1 in 20 Americans have it. And among people living with overweight or obesity worldwide, about 1 in 3 also has MASH. The scary part is that most don't even know they have it until the disease is advanced. It can progress to cirrhosis, liver cancer, and you may even need a liver transplant. Now, there are important caveats. This is an accelerated approval, which means more research is underway to prove long-term benefit. Part 2 of the Essence trial will track whether Wegovy lowers the risk of serious liver events over 240 weeks. That's ongoing. This approval also adds to Wegovy's growing list of uses. Remember, it was first approved for chronic weight management back in 2021. In 2022, it expanded to kids 12 and older with obesity. In 2024, it was approved for reducing the risk of heart attack, stroke, or death in adults with obesity or overweight who have heart disease. And now in 2025, Novo Nordisk's Wegovy is approved for treating MASH with liver fibrosis. So this is one of the strategies both Lilly and Novo are doing, right? It's kind of trying to get approval for as many things as possible.
Yeah, I had really never heard of MASH until I interviewed someone the other day for the Downsized dish that suffered from this, and he was just losing his coverage. So hopefully this will be a way that he could get it covered again.
Well, it's the sad state of affairs when it's really just basically impossible to get things approved if you're fat. But if you have something that came from being fat, that's okay.
Yeah, it's that weight stigma, right? That weight bias. And story number 6, travel can be stressful for anyone, flights, hotels, packing. But for many Americans living with obesity or mobility challenge, it can feel overwhelming. A new survey from Levity, a telehealth company, shows just how much weight and health concerns shape travel decisions, and how GLP-1 medications are giving people more freedom to explore the world. According to the survey, 3 in 10 weight-conscious Americans have delayed or skipped a trip because of weight, mobility, or health concerns. Gen Z was the most likely age group to say this, and people who have used GLP-1s were far more likely to cancel travel than non-users. When it comes to motivation, the numbers are striking. 71% said that looking at old vacation photos inspired them to make a lifestyle or body change, and nearly 2/3 said an upcoming trip pushed them to focus on health. Among GLP-1 users, that number jumps to 75%. The top destinations motivating weight loss: Honolulu, Cancun, and Miami. The report also found that GLP-1 users are traveling more and differently. 58% have taken a trip since starting their treatment, and more than half said the trip felt like a reward for their progress. 41% now feel confident enough to solo travel, and 55% believe more cities and countries feel accessible because of their improved confidence and mobility. A quarter even booked a trip specifically to celebrate a weight loss milestone. But there are still challenges. While 58% of GLP-1 users feel confident about the rules for flying with injectables, 1 in 3 admit they've skipped or delayed a dose while traveling to avoid hassle or embarrassment. Some have changed flights or schedules to fit their injection routines, and about 12% reported issues bringing needles or medication on a plane. Levity surveyed more than 1,000 weight-conscious Americans, with 17% currently taking a GLP-1 and 10% who had taken one in the past. And for us here at the Downsized, this hits home. As you know, we love to cruise and travel. Losing weight with GLP-1s has been life-changing. It's also helped us to become more active and unlock experiences that were impossible when we were overweight. That's the real story here. It's not just about the numbers, it's about freedom.
I mean, we love to travel.
We travel with our medication. We have a travel case that keeps our medications cool. We travel with the travel scale. You know, there have been things that we were unable to do on vacations, being at a higher weight.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like zip lining.
Yeah, zip lining, there is a weight limit, and you don't want to break it.
Yeah, on our next cruise, I think we're doing scuba diving. And I don't know that I would have attempted that.
No.
50 pounds heavier.
For sure we would not.
Heavier.
Story number 7, a new report from Kantar is painting a picture of just how fast GLP-1 medications are changing lives and industries in the UK. So we started with a UK story, and we're going to close up here with a UK story. The consumer insights firm tracks 12,000 households and found that usage of the consumer insights firm tracked 12,000 households and found that usage of GLP-1s has nearly doubled in just a year, rising from 2.3% of the population in March 2024 to 4.1% today. What's striking is that the main reason people are taking them is no longer diabetes, it's weight loss. And the ripple effects are already measurable. Kantar estimates the grocery sector alone has lost 136 million pounds in food and drink sales as GLP-1 users cut their spending 2.2 percentage points more than non-users. Alcohol consumption is also taking a hit. Almost a quarter of users say they're drinking less, with wine sales showing a 16-point sharper decline of users compared to non-users. Clothing is another area feeling the impact, with nearly half of users reporting that they're now wearing smaller sizes. The report frames GLP-1s as more than a medical breakthrough. They call it a cultural and economic disruptor. on the level of the smartphone or even birth control. Something that doesn't just change individuals, but changes how society works. In the UK, where more than 1 in 4 adults live with obesity, the government is already weighing whether to prescribe GLP-1s to unemployed people living with obesity as a way to improve health and workforce participation. Kantar's researchers say this isn't a passing trend, it's a fundamental shift in consumer behavior. For businesses, the message is blunt. This is a wake-up call. People are shopping differently, eating differently, and even rethinking themselves. Unless there's a major supply disruption or unexpected safety issue, uptake is expected to continue to rise. As Kantar puts it, these drugs are not just reshaping waistlines, they are reshaping mindsets, and the effects are measurable in real time.
Reshaping mindsets.
I love the line.
Yeah, interesting that they're considering distributing GLP-1 medications to unemployed people.
Well, we've covered that. I mean, there's a test program in the UK where they're trying to see if they can keep people actually working. Mm-hmm. All right, that wraps up this edition of the Downsized News. If you found it helpful, we hope that you will subscribe to our channel.
And if you're looking for things that can help you with your GLP-1 journey, visit thedownsized.org. There you'll find links to our 2026 Downsized Cruise, our GLP-1 Amazon store, and our email list. Please note we are Amazon affiliates. When you shop through our store, you're helping support our channel, The Downsized, at no cost to you. And we thank you for your support.
If you haven't already, please take a moment, like this video, subscribe to The Downsized, and tap that notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. We break down the science so you don't have to, and we bring you the news stories as they're happening. Join us and be a part of our amazing Downsized community.
I guess that's it for today. I'm Laraine Durham.
And I'm Christopher Durham, and we are The Downsized. We'll see you next time.